We want to talk about care homes because some new guidance that's come into force, meaning that care home residents in England can actually go out without having to quarantine for 2 weeks when they come back. It's not as straightforward if you run a care home for people with learning disabilities. We're now going to have a chat with the managing director of Home from Home, who runs the Old Vicarage Care Home in Stallingborough near Grimsby, Paul de Savary. Obviously, you care for people with learning difficulties. How are they affected by these new guidance?
First thing is, Kofi, good morning to you. Well, it's the very big but, which nobody's really understood. It's done nothing really for people with learning disabilities, other than the fact that they can, on a controlled basis, obviously meet their families, which they were basically doing before. But there's a much bigger but. The individuals with learning disabilities or many that we support, are young people who are active, who have a right to go out and swim, go riding, shopping for essentials, and all of those things that we all do. And they can't do it under this guidance, even though it's being changed. The guidance does nothing for them at all, and it's truly shocking. And I think I saw emails going around from other providers when it was first announced that the guidance was changing, and everybody was so upbeat about it. And now this morning, when the full implications of what's been done or hasn't been done, I think everyone's just completely flat and just depressed and just mind-boggled that after all of this, nothing has changed fundamentally for young people with learning disabilities.
So, do you think things are worse for your residents then?
Well, do I think things are worse? Yes, in a way they are worse than even last week, because last week it was so clear that the rules were breaking the law,
Right.
that we were to agree with our insurers, and most providers were able to agree with their insurers that we could continue effectively going against the guidance and supporting people with learning disabilities to go out into the community in a completely controlled and responsible way. Because the least worst scenario, if you take somebody with autism who needs to go out, and then you say you can't go out, then putting them and the staff who are supporting them and the environment at maximum risk. Whereas now it's so spelt out that it's very difficult to see how one can challenge this ridiculous guidance.
So do you think people with learning disabilities have been forgotten about during this pandemic then?
Kofi, you are so spot on. I mean, I don't know who runs the Department of Health and Social Care. I know there's a minister. I know her name, and I won't speak it. I think they've been totally abandoned. They only seem to respond to sort of public pressure. They responded to public pressure around elderly care. People with learning disabilities have been completely lost within this whole sort of vagaries of everything that's actually happened. And at every stage, we've had to fight, whether it was in the early days about PPE, whether it was about family visits, whether it was whatever it's been about, we've had to fight. And this is incredible. The reality is, as a society, we say if you have a learning disability, you should be able to access the community and be part of the community. To make that happen with people who have capacity and some people who don't have capacity, it's an incredibly fragile thing to make that happen. And yet this is this destroys any fragility and just creates crisis, basically. So yes, they are totally abandoned. I think there is no understanding by the minister or by the Department of Health and Social Care about people with learning disabilities and autism. They're less than an afterthought, I'm sorry to say.
So Paul, what happens now? Where do we go from here? What can we do? What needs doing?
Well, I just think that every parent or or every family member with somebody with a learning disability in their family, I think they need to just get hold of their MPs, and I think they just need to swamp them and just sort of say, why is it that in this day and age, with all the great pronouncements of government and everything, which are all fantastic, why is it that my son, my daughter, my sister, my brother, my aunt, my cousin, my nephew, whatever it is, are actually just being abandoned? It's not just those individuals, but it's also all of the staff, many of whom are young people who are in this to support people to go out and have interaction with the community, and they too sort of feel this, and everybody's very down, I have to say, which is unnecessary on a lovely sunny day. If only someone would just listen.
Paul, thank you very much for joining us here on The Breakfast Show this morning.